Hello, welcome to JupiterAudiobooks.com. I hope you enjoy this audio. Remember that you can find this and many other complete novels visiting our official website, JupiterAudiobooks.com. Get comfortable and enjoy the narration.
Prologue. Clara the live streamer. Hey there. And we read back at S Clara channel time. Are you having a crazy day, my Clara mates? So that's how it is. We re-streaming at a different time than usual today. But you know how it is with your good friend Clara, Don Cha? These things are bound to happen. And thank you for all your comments. What else with all the close-ups of my face? Did you notice? Well, I am not actually wearing anything from the neck down. If you wanted a full-body pic, I'd have to blur the bits out, or I'd be banned on the spot, no questions asked. Oh? You don't believe me? How's this, then? Check out my shoulder. Totally bare, see? Maybe I am wearing a tube top? I told you, I am not. Fine, then. I'll go as far as I can. See? Any more and I'll be in trouble. It is safe to show this much, right? Whoa, the chat is full of horn dogs today, huh? Well, that doesn't really bother me that much. Don't make me start going on a tangent. K. So let us move on to today's topic. Yep, my dreams for the future. As a young woman in our modern world, I think we all ought to have a goal to keep working toward. You don't think I am being serious here? Hurry up and go back to the previous match? Shut up. What's wrong with doing things this way every now and then? This is going nowhere. Anyway, here is your good friend Clara's top 3 dreams for the future. Number 3. To get more subscribers for my channel. Number 2. To fall in love with a guy and become a couple. And number 1. Chapter 1, Shocking, Becoming a Fallen Heroine, Kuro. This could be the greatest crisis the garden has ever seen. What are you talking about now? My reflection in the window is just too beautiful. I can look away. That does sound like a problem. Which shall I break to solve it for you, the window or your face? Such was the response from the girl with dark hair and dark eyes. Her tone ice cold as she looked on with narrowed eyes and a slight head tilt. She was Kuro Karasuma, Mushiki's attendant, though strictly speaking, she served the original owner of his current body. Her words were clearly spoken in jest, but her expression, gaze, and intonation were all so harsh that they carried an eerie intensity. Mushiki felt a cold sweat break out on his forehead. His remark wasn't an attempt at humor or casual chit-chat. For him, the sight staring back at him was simply irresistible. The two of them were in the headmistress's office on the top floor of the central. Mushiki was sitting behind a large desk at the far end of the room, organizing and responding to paperwork as per Kuro's instructions. And while carrying out those tasks, he had simply happened to glance at the window, where he had spotted his own reflection. A beautiful face with perfectly balanced features that transcended worldly terms like the golden ratio. In the center of that beguiling countenance, a pair of colorful eyes transfixed him with their alluring charm. Indeed. The image in the reflection wasn't that of Mushiki Kuga, a mere high school boy, but rather a beautiful young woman, a veritable goddess made flesh. From the moment he laid eyes on her, it was like an arrow had struck his heart. He found himself unable to divert his gaze. Yes, to use a metaphor, she was whatever it is, please snap out of it. Alas, interrupting his thoughts, Kuro grabbed Mushiki by the head and, with a violent jerk, forced him to turn his attention back to the matter at hand. The silken hair swayed gently before him. With that image having vanished from his vision, he found that he could finally move his body once more. Sorry, he said with a sigh. Thanks. The second I met those eyes in the window, it was like I froze. Have you become Medusa? Now, let us move on to the next batch. I've already read and signed everything, but we can send them back without first affixing a magic-based form of certification. Everyone's inherent magic has a different latent pattern, so this last step has to be performed using Saika's body. She pointed to the space at the bottom of the page after explaining. There, the name Saika Kuozaki was written in neat handwriting. Yes. Saika Kuozaki. The headmistress of Void's Garden and the strongest mage in the world. Around a month earlier, Mushiki had stumbled upon the dying Saika, and the two had undergone a fusion. If it became known that the strongest mage had perished, the world would be thrown into turmoil. As such, Mushiki was now living in and attending the school as Saika herself. This paperwork was just one of his duties as the headmistress. He asked in Saika's voice. Koro continued to point to the letters at the bottom of the page. We use a special ink with a high sensitivity to magic, so all you have to do is lightly trace the name here with your finger. Like this? He did as instructed and placed his thumb on the paper and slid it sideways. With that movement, the letters let out a fleeting brilliant flash, prompting him to stare wide-eyed in shock. Whoa, I wasn't expecting that. It's beautiful. Yes. Everyone tends to react with surprise the first time they see it. It's also pretty stimulating tracing the name Saika Kuozaki with my finger. Of these, so please. I've been somewhat busy lately, so they've built up a little. Leave it to me. I am a little surprised, though. I mean, given how organized everything is here at the garden, I would have thought this would be done electronically or something. Personally, I would like to move to digital authentication as soon as possible, as our current method is extremely inefficient. Unfortunately, there are still many traditionalist mages who place too much emphasis on old methods. Sounds pretty similar to the world outside the garden, Mushiki said with a shrug. Everyone else is younger than Lady Saika, yet they so stuck in their ways, she all but spat under her breath. Ha ha. Mushiki flashed her a forced smile as he felt his eyebrows begin to climb up his forehead. Every now and then, an interesting turn of phrase kept popping up on the sheets of paper as he skimmed their contents. An interschool demonstration battle. What's that supposed to be? He asked. Shadow Tower, and us. Mushiki was a little taken aback by that response. You mean there are other mage schools besides the garden? Indeed. Annihilation factors appear opportunities like this for students to improve their skills and share ideas. It made sense, come to think of it. Convinced, Mushiki stroked his cheek in thought. I thought it looked like it was coming up soon, but the day after tomorrow? But with so many things happening lately, there were some delays. That said, these forms are just a formality. Rest assured that everything has been well prepared, Koro said. I hope so, he murmured, crossing his arms. Since she didn't know what to make of his reaction, Koro's expression remained emotionless. There's no need to worry. Only the 5 students selected as representatives will be required to fight. Seeing how you've just transferred to the school, Mushiki, it is highly unlikely that you will be chosen. No, I mean, I am not really worried about that. It's just. He fell silent. One face in particular flashed through his mind at the word representatives. Will Ruri be one of them, perhaps? Without a doubt. It wouldn't make sense if Knight Fuyajo wasn't selected as one of the 5 students. Koro nodded. Right. He exhaled, struck with admiration for his younger sister. Though still a student herself, Ruri Fuyajo was counted among the strongest knights of the garden. As her brother, Mushiki was filled with pride and overjoyed to hear how highly regarded she was here. But after pondering this for a moment, he shook his head slightly. Ha! From the way you re-talking. It sounds like the 5 students haven't been chosen yet, though. That is correct. The Garden's administrative AI will select 5 students to represent us just before the start of the match. That sounds pretty sudden. I guess they wouldn't have much time to prepare or practice, then, would they? One doesn't always have an ideal team ready to engage in Annihilation Factor. A mage must be capable of adapting to the environment and the situation at hand. I see. It was certainly true that there could be no anticipating when an Annihilation Factor might appear, nor what the situation would be at the time. In short, theirs was a constant battlefield. It was important to be constantly ready without requiring any special preparation. In any event, all you have to do is attend the welcome ceremony and watch the match. Afterward, well, please just offer a few words of thanks to the participants. If you keep stopping, we won't be able to get through them all. How long did it all take? By the time he finished going through the whole pile, his thumb was starting to feel a little numb. Well done. Now then, I will return these to the relevant parties, Koro declared. Ah. Koro gathered up the papers, then turned back to him. Now, we should move on to substantiation training. Shall we start the preparations now? Yeah, okay, he replied, tensing up slightly at the sudden change of topic. By substantiation training, she meant practicing how to use his magic techniques. And by preparation, she meant stimulating him to ready his body for training, to disturb his mental state and increase the flow of his magical energy. In other words, she was as good as saying she would make full use of her sensual wiles to seduce him. And so Kuro approached him with slow steps. Her softly swaying hair, her obsidian eyes, her cherry-red lips all drew closer. He paid them much attention before, but each and every aspect of her body now sent a powerful thrill through his brain. Kuro, what are you dash? Don't move, please. As she spoke, she placed her hands on his shoulders and leaned in. Ah! What in the world was she about to do to him? Dizzying fantasies swirled inside his head, and he suddenly found himself short of breath. She positioned her lips close to his ear and whispered in the most bewitching manner imaginable, "Now, Mushiki. We're going to have some exciting training time. Why don't I give you a rousing squeeze?" Her countenance, until a moment ago cool and collected, now betrayed an amused smile. Outwardly, her appearance hadn't changed in the slightest, but it was as if she had somehow become a completely different person. No sooner did he hear that than he felt an electric current course through his brain, his chest tightening and his whole body heating up. Then a vague glow enveloped his body as it transformed into an entirely different figure. A few moments later, a young man was sitting atop the oversized chair in the headmistress's office. His hair was pale in hue, his face androgynous. Even his navy blue uniform had adjusted to suit his more masculine body. Yes. Saika Kuozaki had just transformed into Mushiki Kuga. 1 month earlier, Mushiki had stumbled upon the dying Saika and inherited her body and powers. This, however, didn't mean he had lost his own original body. Though he spent most of his time in Saika's form, his own still dwelled within it. Those sensations would trigger an immediate change into his original form. Maybe that was a little much? Kuro said, squinting as she looked him over. Her expression and tone had returned to its cool, detached manner from before. Mushiki could feel the blood rushing to his cheeks as he pursed his lips. That's bound to happen, what with Saika herself whispering in my ear. Indeed. In truth, there was no human by the name of Kuro Karasuma in this world. The young woman before him was an artificial vessel that Saika Kuozaki had prepared as a refuge for her soul should she find herself caught in an emergency. In other words, Mushiki was presently occupying Saika's body, while Saika was presently in Kuro's. Simply put, this was indeed a messy situation. Could you warn me the next time you do that? I've got to prepare, too. Prepare your heart, you mean? Recording equipment. You never change, she retorted, fixing him with a hard glare. But let us move on. Time is short. We'll begin your training at once. The two bodies, yours, Mushiki, and Lady Saika's, are two sides of the same coin. If you die, so, too, does Lady Saika's body. To prevent that from happening, we need to ensure that you are at least strong enough to fight. Yeah, I get all that. By the way. What now? You aren't going to talk like Saika anymore? He asked sadly. Kuro let out a small sigh. Just like the truth about your body, we cannot risk my secret leaking out. We should refrain from such actions as much as possible. I see. You're always quick to sink into depression, she exclaimed with an exasperated look as she approached the back of the headmistress's office and reached for the doorknob. I would like to use the training grounds, but we would be a little too conspicuous there. The courtyard in front of Lady Saika's mansion will make a better choice. With that, she opened the door, revealing a beautiful forecourt surrounded by magnificent flower beds and carefully cultivated trees. Of course, this wasn't the top floor of the central school building. There was no way that a place like this could have existed on the other side of that wall. Rather, the door operated through a magical distortion, leading to a different place within the grounds of the garden. Mushiki. This way, please. Yes, he answered in a simple though clear voice as he followed her through the doorway. He found himself in front of Saika Kuozaki's private residence in the garden's northern precinct. There was an elaborate gate up ahead, followed by a paved path extending beyond. It was hardly designed for ease of combat, but it was more than enough for a novice mage to practice his skills. Now then, let us begin. Please try activating your second substantiation, Kuro urged as she positioned herself on the paved path. Right. Mushiki nodded, collecting his thoughts. It felt like he was trying to force all the elements that composed his body together, from his feet to his gut, from his head to his chest, from his shoulders to the tips of his hands. He took stock of his whole body, focusing his strength into a single point. Ugh. But nothing appeared in the palm of his right hand. Kuro exhaled at long last. That's odd. You have successfully pulled off your second substantiation once before. Sorry. I didn't really know what I was doing that time. She stroked her chin. Perhaps you exerted more power than usual after falling into an extreme situation. Well, that kind of thing does happen on occasion. Magical energy does change greatly depending on one's mental state. She paused there, narrowing her eyes. So long as you are in possession of Lady Saika's body, this will pose a problem. You must learn to use your powers in a stable manner. Right, he said meekly. Kuro sighed. Let us build you up to it. Are you ready? Yes. Even if it costs me my life. Mushiki responded fervently. Kuro gave a slight shrug. I appreciate your spirit, but that won't do either. If you perished, Lady Saika would also die. Sorry. You know what I mean. Very well. I don't doubt your enthusiasm, she said with a nod, before raising a finger. As I said earlier, you have already succeeded once in activating your second substantiation. Which means that you already have everything you need to do it again. Do you follow, Mushiki? She asked. The substantiation created by your technique is, so to speak, a component of your inner self. Your first substantiation, phenomena, brings forth magical effects that exist within you. Your second substantiation, matter, establishes those effects as a tangible substance. By moving from one substantiation stage to the next, you expand the scope of your inner self outward. So let us keep that image in mind as we try it again. Right. He nodded, fixing his attention on his right hand yet again. NNGH, but try as he might. Nothing appeared in his hand. Koro let out a long breath. Well, if you could do it with just some simple words of advice, you would hardly need training. Right. Sorry. As though suddenly remembering something, Kuro raised an eyebrow. Now. Yes. This may seem somewhat childish, but let us prepare some treats. Treats. Yes. To serve as a reward. They might help motivate you a little more. How about this? If you can activate your second substantiation, I will answer one question. About anything you want. Ah, I did it. No sooner had Koro finished speaking than a clear, glass-like sword materialized in Mushiki's right hand as a two-layered crown-like world crest appeared over his head. Ha! Koro stared wide-eyed. He had never seen her so taken aback before. This was a rare sight and one that he wished he could have caught on camera, if only he had one on hand. She stared at him for a long moment, before folding her arms in consternation. I have to ask. You didn't do that on purpose, did you? No way. I wouldn't lie to you, Koro. Yes, I am sure you wouldn't, she said with a nod, but her expression suggested she wasn't entirely convinced. By the way, Koro? What is it? Did you mean it, when you said I could ask you anything? I see. So you were only thinking of your reward? From her tone, her despair seemed to border on admiration. Then, pulling herself together, she said, very well. Putting aside how you achieved it, you did successfully activate your second substantiation. So how does it feel to hold that sense of mystery in your hands? Are you aware of the sword, of what it is? What type of person does Saika like? No, what kind of presents? Chances like this are hard to come by, I've got to think carefully here. Mushiki pondered in all earnestness. Listen to me, please, Kuro said with a deep frown. Then, at that moment a soft chime came from her pocket. Oh. She must have received a message of some sort. She retrieved her phone and began to tap the screen. My apologies, but something important has come up. Let us call it a day for now. In spite of himself, Mushiki found himself short of breath after hearing these words, and just like that, both his second substantiation and his world crest vanished. Don't make such a face. Your reward is still valid. His desperation must have been clear as day, as Kuro stared back at him, aghast. That being said, there is no time to waste. Please don't neglect your self-studies. Right. But what should I do, specifically? The tablet you use in class contains a textbook on basic magic usage. Please use that as a basis for practicing some drills. As for the rest, well. She placed her index finger on her chin as though mulling over something. Given my position, I can actively recommend it. But apparently many students have been using MagiTube as a point of reference lately. MagiTube? Mushiki tilted his head at the sound of that unfamiliar word. Koro nodded. Speaking of which, we've been so busy that I haven't properly explained how to use the various applications. You do have a smartphone, don't you? Ha? Ah, yeah. Mushiki gave her a small nod as he pulled his phone from his bag nearby. He had received it upon enrolling as a student at the garden, so it was a little different from his old one. He usually carried it in his pocket, but seeing as it could get in the way during training, he had left it in his bag. You should see an app called MagiTube, yes? It is one of the applications we pre-install here at the garden. Ah, here it is. I had no idea about any of this. Come to think of it, he hadn't made use of his new phone that much over the past few weeks. The only feature that he had gotten familiar with up till now was the camera. He tapped on the icon with a stylized letter M, and the application opened. Beneath the MagiTube logo was a search bar and thumbnails for various videos. It kind of looks like a video site. Precisely. MagiTube is a video hosting site exclusively for mages. For mages? He repeated. Kuro glanced down at the screen, her face coming so close that his heart raced, though he decided to keep his mouth shut. Yes. As you know, the existence of mages must be kept a secret from wider society. We can openly talk about things like magic or annihilation factors. Nevertheless, in this information-oriented world, it would be foolish of us to share only through oral means or written texts. She paused there, pointing down at the screen. So we decided to create a web service that only mages can use. It isn't particularly different from similar services you can find on the outside. You can upload videos containing confidential information and leave comments. Don't worry about security. The main staff members at the company managing it are all mages, too. Wow, Mushiki said as he scrolled down the screen with clear admiration. The thumbnails for the videos did indeed show people using magic in flashy ways, along with monsters that could only be annihilation factors. Several seemed to deal with topics such as the history of magic and provided explanations and commentaries as well as guides on effective practice. Slowly, Kuro's words began to fall into place. These might not be official lesson materials, but it was often easier to intuitively understand something with the help of a video. Only spell-type magic caught his eye. How on earth could they have pulled that off? Finding what works for you through trial and error is an important step in the learning process. You should try anything that comes to mind. Right. I think I get it, he answered. Kuro gave him a firm nod. Well. Then, she said, glancing up at him. Let us go. I'll walk with you to the central precinct. Ah, right. He followed Kuro down the path leading away from the courtyard, when she suddenly stopped as though only now remembering something. By the way, Mushiki, she said. There should be an application called Connect. Did you see it? Huh? Ah, yeah. What does it do? It's a social networking service that lets users exchange messages and stickers and make phone calls. You can also talk about anything magic related through it, too. Ah, I see. I am a bit surprised, though. I thought mages would use magic to communicate or something. This is much more efficient than relying on a crystal ball or telepathy. Of course, those are still used for special situations, but when it comes to everyday communication, technology is the answer. You don't need to waste your magical energy to use it, after all. Ah, that makes sense. Why did he feel like they had a similar conversation once before? At that moment, he raised his eyebrows. So why did you bring up this app? Let us exchange user IDs. I don't think we'll be able to be with each other as much from here on out. Ha! Mushiki's voice cried out at this unexpected announcement. What's wrong? Is there a problem? No, it's just. I mean. Are you sure? We'll need to split up pretty often from now on, so it's best that we have several ways to contact each other. Why yeah, right. See, can I get your details, then? Mushiki asked, his hand trembling as he opened the app on his phone to read the QR code on Kuro's screen. The device let out a high-pitched sound as the name Kuro Karasuma appeared on the display, along with an Add as Friend button. Eep. There is no need for any weird noises. What on earth is the matter with you? No. I was just a little surprised is all. Yes. Let us start off as friends and see where we go. Watch what you say, Kuro replied, her tone flat as she narrowed her eyes at Mushiki. Overcome with emotion, he tapped the Add as Friend button. I can believe it. Saika's details, on my phone. Before he knew it, he felt a wave of heat spread from the area around his eyes all the way down his cheeks. I don't have any more regrets, he whispered, holding his phone close to his chest. Haven't you set the bar a little low there? Kuro said with a sigh as she returned her own phone back inside her pocket. Around 10 minutes after leaving Mushiki, Koro was holding herself ramrod straight as she took the elevator in the garden's central library. There was no one else with her, but even so,
only the first half hour is uploaded to YouTube. The transcription was generated with Whisper and censored using Google AI to comply with the platform. This project is completely free at free.jupiteraudiobooks.com, where we upload complete projects and you can make free requests. If you prefer an ad-free experience, want to listen to exclusive novels, or need your requests processed much faster, visit our premium version at jupiteraudiobooks.com. Also, we have a PDF library at euronovels.bokuboi.com. We hope you enjoy it.